I apologize again. I have students helping me and I'm trying to find them, and so copying and pasting, and I'm like, those aren't complete answers. So I think I need to go back and find the question. But I think 17 for your answers should say, like for B, it should say increased systemic vascular resistance, probably. Maybe, and I don't know what metabolic, the true answer should be A, and let me just talk about the question. What you should notice, well, I think, what did you guys, I've got to find out, because sometimes students will post the wrong answer set, so maybe it's totally different, but let me tell you what the problem, what did you notice as the problem?
Really high PaO2.
Really high PaO2, but what should that PaO2 be? If you're on an FiO2 of 100%, did anyone figure out an AA gradient? What's your alveolar air? If you're on 100% and you're at sea level, 760, it's going to be like 656 or something like that. I think I figured it out, right? Because everything you're breathing is oxygen. So your alveolar O2 is going to be like 600 and something. So your PaO2 should be a lot higher than 220. Your first thing I want you to think of when you look at that question, if I'm on 100% and a PEEP of 10, I should have better PaO2 than that. Does that make sense? Now, yeah, you should look at that and go, oh, that PaO2 is high, but it's not high enough. If you're on 100%, you should have higher than that. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Although if you're on 100%, your AA gradient can have a bigger difference. So it's not as... The student that posted this question put the answer as AA gradient, but it's not one of the options. So I need to change it, is what I'm saying, but I want you to think about that when you look at it. What other thoughts did you have when you looked at that one? Carly, did you recognize that one?
I thought, because I've seen it on Lindsey Jones, and they did like a P big AO2 of 365 and then minus 220 for the AA gradient and got 145.
Okay.
So then they did the VQ mismatch.
Okay, and it could be VQ mismatch because of that same. So they did they actually figured it out in your explanation. You're good. We'll find it.
I don't know how they got. They just said like they just used 365 as like a normal.
As a normal, and you have to recognize that that is my next one. I'm like, venous admixture just shows that you have shunting, ventilation perfusion mismatch. So with AA gradient. So like I say, it could be different than that, but that's what I want you to think of is the AA gradient. I should have a bigger PaO2 with 100%, plus I'm on a PEEP of 10. So are you going to have patients like that? And are you going to have patients on 100% with a PEEP of 10 that have a low? No, I don't even worry about it. It's just wrong and we're going to fix it.
So are you saying that this is just the best answer right now? Like
A or D, one of those. I don't even know what B and C are. Metabolic what and increased systemic vascular what. So it's unfinished is what I'd say. It's an incomplete question, but we'll figure it out and I'll talk about it. But what I do want you to recognize is the PEEP. So are you going to have patients on 100% with a PEEP of 10 with crappy PaO2? You will, but you've got to recognize that they're not oxygenating well. So if you're on 100%, if you and I were on 100%, our PaO2 should be even higher than that, is what I'm trying to say.
But is it right to say 365 is a normal P big AO2 as a rule of thumb?
P big on 100%?
Well,
because on 21%, it's only, what's our P big AO2 on 100%? It's like 100. It's like 100. So on 100%, it's going to be a lot higher than that. Does that make sense? So 760 minus 47, 713. This patient has a CO2 of 55 times 1.25. 7.
Let's go to the bar.
Perfect.
Tell me what you're looking at and I'll help you.
Page 6 in Lindsey Jones, just like if I needed a shortcut number for P big AO2, like one of them says 370 millimeters and the other one is...
Well, that's because they're on 60%.
Oh.
It's totally dependent on your FiO2. So if you're on 100%, it's like 650 or something like that at sea level. Well, it depends on your CO2 also. You really can't get, I mean, you can say it should be about 100 on normal sea level and Carly, you're totally fine. I mean, you can find it and send it to me. I've reached out to this student because I don't know all of Lindsay Jones. And sometimes their answers, like Maggie posted one to her thing this week, and it said your patient isn't ventilating. You've called for help. What's the next thing you should do? I think you should check the pulse. That's BLS.
Yeah.
That's BLS. But Lindsay Jones says you should start bag mask ventilation. So there's going to be some that you're going to go, okay, Lindsay Jones, I've got to answer it. Remember how many we can miss? What do you have to get on Lindsay Jones? 61%, right? Or something like that. I want you to know the concepts more than you know Lindsay Jones. But sometimes are you going to just go, okay, I still think I should check a pulse, but Lindsay Jones is going to tell me to breathe, so I'm just going to pick that for here, and we'll see. And on your test, if you know this stuff, you're going to be fine. But I think some are wrong. I have students that get really mad. Some of them are wrong. You know what? They're not perfect either. They're human. They're going to make some mistakes. And there's probably, with this one, Carly, if she finds it, if it's ventilation perfusion mismatch, we'll look at their explanation. Again, I want you to be able to break it down and see what we're looking at. Okay? What other ones do you have questions on? Do you want to know if you got the right answers?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Don't memorize them, and I'll just tell you real quick, okay? Don't memorize them because it's not. Am I like worried you're gonna memorize them and tell someone no? I don't want you to get a wrong answer on the quiz. You have to know the stuff, okay? So if you look in there and you're like, I don't know that stuff, take a note down and say, I need to go practice this, okay? So number 1 is B. Number 2 is A, and I'm human too, so if I make a mistake and you want to check me on it, go for it, but I'm pretty sure these are. Number 3 is B. Number 4 is D. Number 5 is C. Am I going too fast? Number 6 is B. Number 7 is A. Number 8 is D. Number 9 is A. Number 10 is D. Did anyone get that one wrong? Good job. It could, maybe you thought A, I don't know. Number 11 is A. Number 12 is D. Am I going too fast? Where do you want me to go? 12?
11.
11 is A. 12 is D. 13 is D. 14 is B. 15, are we good? 15 is A. 16 is B. 17, I don't know. A, D, there's some issues. We'll fix it. 18 is C. 19 is C. 20 is B. 21 is B. 22 is C. 23 is C. Switching pages. 24 is C. 25 is D. 26 is C. 27 is C. 28 is A. Normal lungs. 29 is B. And 30 is A.
I think we would have passed.
Did you pass?
I think we passed.
Let's shoot for 100%, and then if we pass, we're good. Question, Maggie.
30.
30. A 3-year-old, low-grade fever,
Epiglottitis.
epiglottitis. So the fever high. Lateral neck X-ray shows subglottic swelling.
Oh,
We had 20%.
Subglottic, yes.
I was like,
Epi.
I thought that the lateral was
What?
80%? Yeah. Can we take the boards together?
You guys got the right answer. Does that make sense, Maggie?
It does.
Yep. Question. Number 8. Number 8. And the fever.
Yeah, the difference, like X-ray.
Croup is a steeple sign, so it will tell you that too. Number 8. COPD patient is the key thing here. Extreme shortness of breath and copious amounts of thick yellow sputum. So breathing fast. So a 745 with a 47 and a PO2 of 49 and a bicarb of 31. So did you want to pick metabolic alkalosis?
Yeah.
Okay, the key thing is their COPD. So probably the reason they're in metabolic alkalosis, they are, but it's because they're in respiratory acidosis. Right now it doesn't look like because their CO2 is only 47, but they're hyperventilating currently and they're short of breath. So they're blowing off more than their normal CO2. Their normal is probably 60 something. They're blowing it off, so it looks like it's closer to normal. They have a high pH because their normal CO2 is usually higher. So it really, the key thing is if you see a COPD one, they're going to want to try to trick you. It is metabolic alkalosis technically, but the reason is not metabolic. The reason is respiratory. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So is that the hyperventilation?
So it's hyperventilation superimposed on chronic respiratory failure.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep. That was number 8 she had a question on. 8. It could look like compensated metabolic alkalosis, but the key thing is the fact, if you just saw the blood gas alone, you could say that. But PO2 is low, so we probably have a respiratory issue. It tells us we're COPD. It tells us we have shortness of breath and copious secretion. So those are your key things to say. This is probably a respiratory problem. Make sense? Did you learn so much in that much time? I was like, you got this. Can we do it?
Feel a lot better. That's the best score I've ever gotten. I'm ready
Well,
to take the
don't
boards.
settle. Don't settle there. You had a partner and you were helpful. And it was
We're gonna work together.
Okay, this is what's gonna get tricky, right? You did great, and I hope that I don't ever deflate anyone's, like, I just know you have to work so hard. So we've got to move forward from this, but we got to remember all this stuff. I could throw in a question from this, right? You've got to keep building somehow. You've got to keep practicing this too. So, take some final notes on your notes, but hand me your quiz things.
Number 10.
Number 10. So number 10, what did you think? Maybe A?
Yeah.
The only other one it could have been was A, right? And I agree with you. I'm like, well, hopefully it's possible. That's the next best answer. Hopefully your PaO2 will come up if you increase minute ventilation. You definitely know your CO2 is going to go down, so 45 or 48. And so then you look at
So should you always suggest just that there will be just a little bit, a little different, a little better, but not like
yeah,
better. Okay.
yeah. It's a hard one. You could, but I'm like, okay. My key thing is, okay, my PaO2 hopefully improved a little bit too. So I would take. That's how I would pick that one.
And like what it actually.
They're not always perfect, right? You kind of have to pick the best answer, and that's what they want you to do. And I talked to Mitch about this a lot. I promise it's not a dumb test. You have to critically think, and you have to know enough to not. Remember, you're saving lives. So it really is helpful, but it's not. I don't know all the answers. I'm not going to get 100% on the test. I can promise you. So
Totally random, but
Yeah.
nursing exam versus our exam.
I hear that ours is harder,
Okay.
but theirs has more content. I don't know. I think ours are pretty hard. I'd have to look at national pass rates. Our national pass rate for ours is like 50%. Not in our program. Our program is like 98. So if someone says we teach to the test, I promise we help. But again, what's my rule number? Janelle's rule number 1 and mine are different. But my rule number 1 is don't say Lindsey Jones in the hospital. You know this stuff, but you have to pass your test too.
Okay, just a really quick question.
Question
24, when it says like identify the nature of the infiltrate, like what does that mean?
24, I don't know.
Okay, she's like, I just wrote it down.
Okay, it's just saying what is, they're trying to further decide. Could you have a round-shaped infiltrate that's something different? Could there be different possibilities? You could have like a mass. You could have like a little like encapsulated infection. Like it wants to know more
The
about
nature.
it. Like what exactly is it?
Because yeah, it would like showing a VQ scan. It would show the like what's.
But it's not going to tell you what the pocket is.
So
Yeah.
I think if it says like, what does it say?
Okay, we're almost out of time. Crap.
Without perfusion.
28. 28 is normal.
Yeah, so it has
So
to be
bilateral radiolucency,
Yeah, so it's
that means there's dark lungs.
Okay.
It's just dark. It's not hyperlucent, it's just radiolucent.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, radiolucent. And that's a Lindsey Jones term, so it might be something you see on the boards. In like real life, you're not gonna be like, oh, that's a nice radiolucent x-ray. Usually if you use that word, you're saying hyperlucent or something.
Send me out.
25. It was pulmonary embolism. D.
I always look at like the little.
Okay, can you pass them to me, or do you have more questions?
Says like
Okay.
if I'm ready or not.
I really need your attention for a second. is everyone okay with doing this? And are we okay focusing backwards and then you kind of have to go forward without me giving you a lot of forward stuff? I mean, I can tell you the pages, but I don't have time really in class to say much. Are we good with that? So you know your pages to study, it's 31 through 60. It covers quite a bit again, but we'll keep touching on this. I'll keep giving you things. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Thank you. Your quiz is due Thursday by 11:59 p.m. It could come from some of this. I promise it will all come from that section. It will be probably 20 questions worth 100 points. But here's my thing. I might do a little more. I'm still deciding. I have it all, but I'm changing it. So here's my thing, though. I'm tempted to say if you get between this and this score, you get 100%. If you get between, because do you have to know every single thing? I'm trying to figure out the perfect way, and it might change a little bit throughout the semester. But do your very, very best. I don't want you so stressed that I missed one and it was 5 points off, but in the test I can miss however many and still get a good grade, right? So I'm tempted to do that, but I have one more plug that I have to just plead with you. Please learn from the ones you miss. So I didn't give this instruction, so please don't, no one hang your head and be like, I did that. On your Lindsay Jones stuff where you have to post the explanation, if you just screenshot the explanation or write the exact one, copy and paste it that Lindsay Jones gives you, hopefully you're learning something, but are you really learning that much? No, it's just busy work, right? So tell me what you were thinking and tell me why you missed what you missed. And tell me, you know what, I think Lindsay Jones has it wrong. I really think this is the right answer because of this. Please, 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 please learn from that work. You have to set aside time and say, I'm going to take this quiz, or whatever you want to call them, those Lindsay Jones ones. They have to help you. They cannot be busy work or you will not pass. I'm not trying to be rude. But you have to learn from them. You have to read those explanations, not because I told you to, because you want to learn, okay? There's my 2 cents on that. You have to get out what you put in. So please, please, I'm just begging you. I want every single person to pass the first time. And you will if you put it in we've already been a week. Have you put it in every day? Check yourself. Nope. If you haven't, do better, right? That's all I can tell you. Yeah, I love that. I love that you're being honest. But you can do better this week, because if you get to the end of the semester and go, oh, I didn't the whole time, you're gonna know what you're gonna get on your test. It's not because of me. It's not, I don't want to, I can only beg you to do it, okay? Amen. I'm done.